What's up, guys? Welcome to Daily Dose of Reddit. This is your host, Zach, and today's subreddit is r/ChoosingBeggars. Alright, this story's called The Karenest Karen I've Ever Been Karened By. So, I work at a restaurant bar as a host, my first job for about 2 years. And during that time, I saw my fair share of beggars and Karens. But one instance particularly stands out in my memory. Typical night shift, busy around dinner time and gradually slows down. Around the time that it's starting to get late and the restaurant is slowly becoming quieter. Now, being a host, I never dealt with any of the dine-in customers, only takeouts and phone orders. So this woman comes in the front door with her probably 8 to 9-year-old daughter, and the second she does, I immediately thought, oh God, here we go. As she had the full stereotypical Karen look. The haircut, soccer mom capri pants, expensive sunglasses, the whole shebang. She walked up and, of course, I greeted her with a friendly smile, to which she replied that she was there to pick up a takeout order. I pulled up her order to take her payment, and it was a pretty hefty order, around $150 to $200 if I remember correctly. She tells me she has a coupon, which is usually a lifesaver because it makes the process so much faster. So I take a look at it. It was for something like a free kids meal, but I quickly noticed that the coupon had in a large, bolded red font, dead center on the front, "Dine in only." I hand Karen back her coupon and, as politely as I can, tell her I am unable to accept this coupon since it only applied to dine-in meals. Karen did not like that. Not at all. She proceeded to correct me and tell me that the coupon was, in fact, valid, because I was a 16-year-old working at minimum wage. Obviously, I have no clue what I'm talking about, right? I explained to her again that the coupon could only be applied to dine-in orders, and even added that I would be happy to seat her and plate her, still hot and fresh, food to enjoy in the restaurant so she would be able to use the coupon. I had to physically point to the dine-in only lettering multiple times as I attempted to explain that I physically have no way of entering the coupon since it was for dine-in only. Then she asks for the manager. Whoa, huge surprise! So I go get my manager and quickly explain the situation. Then he follows me to the front and asks how he can help Karen. So this entitled, privileged, genuinely stupid woman proceeds to rant to my manager for about 15 minutes about how stupid, lazy, and useless of an employee I am. This whole time she is going off, screaming about how she's used those coupons for takeout in the past and how I should be fired for being such a terrible employee. They shouldn't be hiring young brats like me. The customer is all right, blah blah, mother-loving blah. She also mentions multiple times how she has come to the restaurant for years. Therefore, they should make an exception for her. At the end of her rant, my manager, a tall, white, middle-aged man who's usually very trusted by Karens, asks to see the coupon she brought in. He did not hesitate at all to point out the dine-in only print written on the coupon, and proceeds to explain to her the exact same thing I had previously explained to her 16 times. At this point, Karen is so enraged, I can clearly remember seeing smoke shoot out of her nostrils while the vein in her forehead was about to erupt. Finally, and begrudgingly, accepting that the coupon could not be used, she hit us with the, "Fine, I guess I'll just pay for it." Now, it is at this point I will remind you that her bill was fairly large. I'm also going to point out that this was a Boston pizza, which is notorious for overpricing food. So my manager walks away and I tell Karen her total and ask how she is paying. She looked at me with the most evil stare I've ever seen in my life as she began screaming about how expensive it was. She insisted I had the wrong order because there is no way it could be that much, which led to me reading out her entire order and listing the price for each dish, while Karen sat there trying to do the math in her stupid little brain. After another 5 minutes or so of haggling with her about the price and getting screamed at the whole time, Karen finally decided she had had enough and screams, "You know what? I don't even want the food anymore! You just lost a customer!" before stomping out. Never have I felt the amount of satisfaction as I did when I waved goodbye to her with the biggest freaking smile on my face. Bonus! I also spent 10 minutes on the phone once with a man who did not understand the concept of, if you are outside the delivery zone, we cannot deliver to you. One of my rare male Karen encounters. When I was at the hotel, and the price was a little higher, I always felt bad when people had reservations and they had to pay at the thing. I'm like, oh God, please don't make a big deal. Please don't make a big deal. Even though if there was a problem with the price, it wouldn't even be my fault. It would be, it'd be theirs because they're the ones who wanted the freaking, thing. But wow, that Karen was something, huh? Alrighty, this story is called, They Never Just Stay One Night. When I was 19, I rented a single-bedroom house by myself. I was working 50 to 60 hours as a shift lead for a Tex-Mex place to afford it. It was my place, and I was so happy to have it. Going from a house with 5 siblings where I never had my own room to a house all by myself was amazing. Of course, with all good things come the load of people who want in on it too. Today's tale is about Megan. Fake name. Megan was my 20-year-old coworker who was kicked out of her parents' house. She showed up at work crying on a day I wasn't there. The shift lead on duty called me and asked if I could take her for the night while she figured things out. So I go get her, take her back to her parents' house to get a few things, which ended up filling up my car, then brought her home. A few things about Megan. She is both physically and mentally unstable. She's spent a few days in mental institutes and has been hospitalized several times due to what was later diagnosed as lupus. But that diagnosis wasn't until almost a year after she lived with me. So a day or two after she moved in, she gets a call from the person she gave her cat to the year prior. The cat was sick, and the person said Megan needed to either get the cat or they would have to put it down. So we got the cat. It was obviously neglected and covered in fleas. Megan said she would never trust anyone with a cat again. I told her when we brought her home, she would have to live in the garage. I had a cat with FIV, so her immune system is really weak and I didn't want to risk her getting sick. Well, while I was at work, Megan let the cat in and sent me pictures stated, "See, they get along fine." I talked about taking my cat to the vet to make sure she was handling it okay, and every time I brought it up, Megan would say, "Perfect, and you can take my cat too." No, I'm not paying to have your cat looked at. Her cat was a nightmare and peed on everything. After a few weeks, when it was obvious Megan hadn't found her own place, I told her we needed some kind of formal agreement. So we wrote up a month-to-month lease for her. I should have kicked her out, but I'm a pushover. And between her mental and physical health, I felt trapped. She panicked at almost any form of confrontation. I was worried I would kick her out and she would kill herself, which she almost did. I came home one day and all her pills were lined up on the table and she was missing. She was close to doing it, but called the hotline and checked herself into the hospital instead. When she wasn't in the hospital, we had fallen into a routine. She worked mornings, I worked nights. She didn't have a car, so I would get up at 7:30 a.m., wake her up, go defrost the car, come back in to wake her up again, not so nicely the second time, take her to work, go home, go back to sleep, wake up for my 2 p.m. shift, work until midnight, come home, stay up until 2 to 3 a.m. for a moment to myself, wash, rinse, repeat. I was exhausted and felt like I had no life. Taking care of Megan was my life. She, on the other hand, would go out while I was at work, bring God knows how many guys back, hit on guys I brought home. The one time I had a guy spend the night, she tried to crap talk me to him, saying, "You can spend the night because OP will make sure you wake up in the morning. just a heads up, she can be a B-word about it.
Like, excuse me?
You are a grown-ass woman living on my couch who can't get herself up for work. I'm sorry I'm not gonna hold your hand and help ease you up every morning. After 4 months, the final straw was when I caught her cat peeing on a corset that belonged to my sister who had just passed away. I had already warned her that if she didn't do something about her cat peeing on all my things, it would have to go. So I sent her a text saying, "I'm sorry, but your cat can't stay here. I told you, you have to do something about her accidents and you haven't. She just ruined something that belonged to my sister. I also need to remind you that you being here was supposed to be temporary." That's all I said. I never told her she had to leave that second, but she called her mom and they came and gathered all her stuff and she left that night. She quit work the next day and told everyone I threw her out on the street. No one believed her. When I met my now husband and got pregnant, she tried to message me like nothing happened and be my friend. I don't understand why several people thought my pregnancy was the time to reconnect. If I didn't want to be around you when it was just me, why the hell would I want you around my kid? Added to add, yes, she did pay rent. I can't remember the exact amount as this was over 5 years ago. Okay, yeah, that sounds like a hell of a situation to be in. Emphasis on hell. It's a really unfortunate situation when you have to really take someone's mental health into account when you're trying to be honest with how freaking annoying they are. So yeah, I can definitely sympathize with OP here. But at least it worked out in the end. This story's called Choosing Beggar Attempts to Scam My Uncle for Free Pizza and Gets Busted. Wow, I guess you could say that Choosing Beggar's quite the nut. Please tell me someone got that. Hello everyone! Recently I've seen a lot of Choosing Beggars posts, so I decided to post one of my own. Sorry for any formatting issues, I am on mobile. Also, take everything in the story with a grain of salt since this is all information from my uncle, so I'm not sure if he embellished certain parts. Now, without further ado, let's get started on this story. Backstory. Come on! This happened a few years ago. Maybe in 2015 or 16, my uncle owns a pretty successful pizza store. It's not part of a franchise, he only owns the one location. At his pizza place, he is usually the one who handles the phone calls. My uncle looks pretty intimidating. He is a large, burly man with a beard and, in American terms, he would be right around 6'3". Despite his looks, my uncle is a pretty nice guy who always bends over backwards to please customers, come on, and always tries to make everyone's day pleasant. This has, on more than one occasion, meant that certain rude customers would try to take advantage of him. There is one thing in particular these customers like to use: the return policy. My uncle has a return policy that states if someone is unsatisfied with their order, they can return it intact with their receipt within a 24-hour time limit and either get a refund or 2 new pizzas of their choice. This is the story of one of those customers. On a particularly slow day, my uncle gets a call from a man. He will be called Choosing Beggar. My uncle went to school with Choosing Beggar and knew Choosing Beggar had anger issues. Choosing Beggar and my uncle chat on the phone for a few minutes before Choosing Beggar eventually orders 3 large pepperoni pizzas. My uncle has the cooks make the pizzas and he sends them out to Choosing Beggar's house. 2 hours later, my uncle gets a phone call from Choosing Beggar.
Hello, OP's uncle. This is Choosing Beggar. I ordered 3 pizzas earlier today.
Yes, I remember. Do you have a problem?
Yes, I was unsatisfied with my order. I would like to request to trade them in for 6 new pizzas.
No problem. What pizzas would you like?
I'd like 6 Supremes.
A Supreme is an extra large pizza with ham, beef, and chicken with 3 different types of Italian cheese. It's also the most expensive pizza my uncle sells.
Is that okay?
Sure, anything for an old friend. You just have to return the 3 pizzas you bought with the receipt and I'll gladly serve them up for you.
About that, me and my family already ate those pizzas. But can we still get new ones anyway? My kids are still hungry.
I'm sorry, man, but I can't do that. It's store policy.
come on, dude, I can't afford it. Please, can't we just get them for free?
Sorry, Choosing Beggar, no means no. I'd love to help you, but I can't.
Bullcrap, you can't even help an old friend. I'll be there in an hour. My pizzas better be ready or I'll never order there again.
Choosing Beggar then hangs up. My uncle decides to make Choosing Beggar's pizza anyway. He doesn't think losing a friend was worth a few pizzas, so he tells the cooks to make 6 Supremes. An hour later, Choosing Beggar arrives at my uncle's pizza place in a brand new top-of-the-line sports car.
I can't afford it, my ass.
And he was furious.
You better have my frickin' pizza ready now, Dookie. Honestly, what is my friendship worth to you that you would trade 6 frickin' pizzas?
Choosing Beggar, please calm down. You're disturbing the other customers.
I don't frickin' care about other customers. I could buy the other customers if I wanted to. Give me my goddamn pizzas. The customer is always right.
Choosing Beggar then proceeds to freak out because of his anger management issues, starts trashing the tables and chairs. My uncle then gets up from behind the counter and gets up in Choosing Beggar's face and tells him to sit down and that his pizzas would be ready soon. Since my uncle was a big, burly wall of a man, Choosing Beggar sits down with a whimper. My uncle already had his pizzas prepared, but after that outburst, he sure as hell wasn't gonna give them to Choosing Beggar. He called the police and they arrived 10 minutes later. One of them restrained Choosing Beggar and the other looked over the camera footage with my uncle. Choosing Beggar was later arrested and my uncle ended up giving the 6 pizzas away to the police officers as a thank you. This whole incident also inspired my uncle to change his return policy. Okay, so, I love how the uncle handled the situation. He was definitely the bigger person, in more ways than one. However, I don't understand that return policy, because how are you gonna be unsatisfied with a pizza you never even had? Unless they got the order wrong, but that could have been fixed at the store. So how are you supposed to return intact pizzas that you're not satisfied with if you've never tried them? Until someone can explain that, I'm gonna have a problem, and it's gonna bother me. I'm not gonna be able to sleep. But yeah, I appreciate how the uncle handled that. He was very mature there. Alright, this story is called Actually Called the Cops on Me. I do freelance IT work for people, and that oftentimes requires building a computer. I get a message from someone at the time I thought was a friend asking me to build a computer for him. I help him pick out the parts. It came out to a couple thousand. Told him he could pay up front or he could pay in installments, and got the computer when he's done. We have a verbal contract that he was going to pay up, so I put the machine on a credit card knowing he'd pay. I'd pay off the card and I'd pocket the extra charge for labor and time. A week later, it's set up and he is refusing to pay, saying that since I am not a legit business because I don't have a brick and mortar location, I am not a real business, so he doesn't have to pay. I tell him it's waiting for him to pay, if not I'd sell it to someone else. A couple of hours later, police cars show up and they intend to arrest me for stolen property. I explained the situation, sat them down, and showed them my chat logs with the customer while I offered them coffee. Apparently, he was cited for misuse of 911. I ended up parting out the system to recoup the costs. Oftentimes, that can happen when you try to help someone out, but that shouldn't stop you from doing it anyway. It builds character, but also just be careful. Be careful. Alrighty, thank you guys for watching. Make sure you check out Daily Dose of Memes because that's a cool channel. We put a lot of work into those videos, so please enjoy them, watch them, like them, all that jazz. I don't know why I said that in that order, but I don't care because you get the message. And the message is subscribe to Daily Dose of Memes and this channel, but you'll also hear that in the outro. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode.